At the height of his reign, Israel Adesanya sat smugly in front of reporters. UFC middleweight champion, undefeated in the division, seemingly untouchable.
Very careful.
Whitaker nearly out on his feet. Adesanya is the undisputed king of the middleweights.
But then someone brought up an old name, Alex Pereira.
What a killer.
Adesanya scoffed. Nobody knows who he is, he said.
Guy now he watches all my fights, and every time I fight, like clockwork, he'll try and put something out like, I beat this guy. But I've never ever watched any of his fights, ever.
He's probably sitting at some bar somewhere saying, I beat that guy one time.
He's gonna be at some pub, talking some about, I beat that guy one time.
He laughed. The crowd laughed with him. But halfway across the world, in a quiet gym in Brazil, Alex Pereira wasn't laughing. He heard the words. He watched the interview, and something inside him clicked. It wasn't the first time he'd been doubted. But this wasn't just trash talk. This was the moment that woke the beast. And to understand how Alex Pereira turned those words into one of the fastest, most terrifying rises in UFC history, we've got to go back to where it all began. Long before the bright lights of the UFC, long before the knockout highlights, Alex Pereira was just another kid in the favelas of Sao Paulo. Life wasn't about dreams, it was about survival. At 12 years old, he dropped out of school to help his family. He got a job at a tire shop, working alongside grown men twice his age. It didn't take long before those same men handed him his first drink. Soon, he wasn't just sipping, he was drinking heavily. Every day, by the time he was a teenager, alcohol had its claws in him. And for a while, it looked like it might never let go. But somewhere deep inside, something was still burning. Even if Alex couldn't see it yet, that fire would find its fuel in the most unlikely place, inside a kickboxing gym. At 21, Alex walked into a gym looking for a way to quiet the chaos. Kickboxing wasn't just a sport, it was an escape. And once he stepped into the ring, something clicked. His power was unreal. Even raw and unrefined, his punches had weight. His kicks landed like sledgehammers. People started whispering. There was something different about this guy. But the alcohol followed him. His coach saw it, knew it was holding him back. So one day, he pulled Alex aside and introduced him to a part of himself he'd been disconnected from, his indigenous heritage. Alex embraced it. And with it, he found the strength to leave the drinking behind. They gave him a new name, Poatan. In the Tupi language, it meant hands of stone. And soon, that name wasn't just a nickname, it was a prophecy. Because Poatan was about to step onto a world stage, and the world wasn't ready for him. Alex Pereira wasn't supposed to beat Israel Adesanya. Not once, definitely not twice. But that's exactly what he did. The first fight in 2016 was close, controversial even. Some thought Adesanya edged it. But when the judges raised Alex's hand, you could see the shock on Izzy's face. The rematch? That one left no questions. Adesanya was piecing Alex up, had him on skates. But then the ref gave Alex a standing count, a lifeline. And with it, Alex regrouped and landed a left hook from hell. Down went Adesanya.
非常漂亮啊！左手平勾，左平勾打到回笼了，回笼。
It wasn't just a loss. It was a stain Izzy couldn't scrub off. And as Adesanya rose through the UFC ranks, that knockout footage kept resurfacing. But Alex? He wasn't chasing Izzy. He wasn't even thinking about MMA. Not yet. That would change the moment he saw that interview. When Adesanya sat in front of the cameras, dismissing Alex like a nobody, he had no idea what he'd just done. He'll be that guy in a bar somewhere saying he beat me one time, Izzy said.
Guy now he watches all my fights, and every time I fight, like clockwork, he'll try and put something out like, I beat this guy. But I've never ever watched any of his fights, ever. He's gonna be at some pub, talking some I beat that guy one time.
Alex watched it, over and over. Each time, it dug deeper. And just like that, the beast stirred. He signed with the UFC. And from day one, his mission was clear: track Adesanya down. His debut came at Madison Square Garden. All eyes were on him. And Alex delivered, a flying knee knockout that left the crowd stunned.
How good is that?
He wasn't just another kickboxer crossing over. He was a threat, a problem, and the UFC knew it. The countdown was on. Every fight brought him closer to the man who woke him up. And soon, the rematch the world didn't know it needed was inevitable. By UFC 281, the stage was set. Adesanya versus Pereira 3, but their first clash in MMA. Izzy was the champion. Alex was the challenger. And for 4 rounds, it looked like Izzy had finally exorcised his demon. He rocked Alex at the end of round 1. He controlled rounds 3 and 4. He was up on the scorecards. But in the corner between rounds, Alex's coach didn't sugarcoat it. "You're losing this fight. You need to finish him. Right now." Alex nodded. And when the 5th round started, he turned into something else. He hunted Izzy down, cornered him against the cage, and unleashed punch after punch, a barrage that forced the ref to step in. It was over. The beast had arrived. The prophecy fulfilled. In just his 8th MMA fight, Alex Pereira became UFC middleweight champion. But their story wasn't done yet. In April 2023, the rematch came. UFC 287. This time, it was different. Adesanya was patient, calculated, and in round 2, he found his moment. A counter right. Another. Alex slumped to the canvas. Adesanya reclaimed his belt, roared over him. Redemption. For Alex, it was a bitter moment, but also a decision point. He moved up to light heavyweight, a new division, a new mountain. Little did he know, moving up was just the beginning of an even bigger fight. Most fighters would have stayed put, enjoyed the throne, but Alex looked up to the next mountain. He moved up to light heavyweight, faced former champion Jan Blachowicz, a man who'd beaten Adesanya when Izzy tried to climb up. The fight was a war. Jan's wrestling pushed Alex to the brink. But on the feet, Poatan did what Poatan does. Land the bigger, cleaner shots. He won by decision. And just like that, Alex earned a shot at the vacant light heavyweight title. His opponent? Yuri Prochaska, another wild, unorthodox warrior. Another man chasing legacy. Madison Square Garden. UFC 295. The lights, the noise, the stakes, everything bigger than ever. The fight? Chaotic, beautiful, violent. And when it ended, with Alex's hand raised, another belt around his waist, history had been made.
Right hand.
2 UFC titles. In just 11 MMA fights. The fastest double champ rise ever. History made. But the journey wasn't over. In March 2025, Alex defended his light heavyweight title against Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 313. Ankalaev came prepared. Tight defense. Relentless clinch work. Strategic pressure. Alex tried to keep it standing. Landed his shots. But Ankalaev's volume and control told the story. After 5 grueling rounds, the judges handed Ankalaev a unanimous decision. The title slipped from Alex's grasp. A rare defeat, but not a defeat that broke him. Because for Alex Pereira, every setback has been another spark, another reason to rise again. From a boy drinking in the favelas, to a kickboxing king, to a UFC double champ, to a man who dared to chase history across 2 divisions. Alex Pereira's story isn't just about wins and belts. It's about proving wrong every person who said he couldn't. including the champion who once laughed at him. And now, after losing his light heavyweight crown, there's already talk of a rematch with Ankalaev. Because for Alex Pereira, every setback is just another reason to rise again. If this is what happens when you wake the beast, imagine what happens when you corner him.